Hi there, my name is Matthew Smart, and has there ever been anything that you've wanted so badly for years, no matter how unrealistic it was, and how many people told you it was never going to happen because of blank reason, and then one day it finally becomes a reality and you get hit with the biggest sense of euphoria in your life? For me, that thing was strawberry banana flavored Cheerios. Cheerios were my childhood cereal of choice. Strawberry banana was my favorite smoothie flavor of choice. You blend the two together, and now you have the best of both worlds. Anyways, let's talk about that dumb key man who got into Smash. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is a game I don't think any of you need an introduction on. Let's face it, if you own a Nintendo Switch, you've either played the game to death, or it's simply not your thing. And let me tell you, as someone who's put over 250 hours into this game, I've had a very rocky relationship with it throughout its life cycle. From a core gameplay perspective, I can easily say this is the best the series has ever been. But it's everything surrounding the complete package that's left me pretty lukewarm. And that's a whole nother topic entirely. For now, I want to focus on the character reveals, as they were a big part of this thought process. I'll fully admit that my gaming tastes have never been the most expansive, and because of that, most of the character announcements left me saying, I'm happy for the fans, but they're not necessarily my thing. I still tried out most of the newcomers and appreciated them for the fact that they got me to learn more about franchises I wouldn't have considered otherwise, like Persona and Tekken, just to name two. But nothing really resonated with me personally. I already had my expectations put in check when one of my most wanted characters, Bomberman, became an assist trophy the day that Ultimate was first shown off. At least he got a really good Mii outfit later on, so count my blessings, I suppose. So at that point, I didn't care. Nothing could hurt me anymore. They could have thrown in a frickin' Uniracer, and I wouldn't even flinch. After Kazuya got revealed at E3 2021, I just really wanted to see the final character. Not because I was interested in who they were, but because I was tired of Smash Bros. Discourse. The game had lost its luster for me entirely, and the ravenous nature of the fanbase didn't help things, and only made me more ready to pull the plug. Come October 5th, 2021, and the final character would be revealed in Masahiro Sakurai's final presentation. And I was more than ready to finally close the curtains on Smash and move on to bigger and better things in my life. And then Banana Shoes McGee pops out at the last minute and my heart rate went from 0 to infinity!
No way! Oh, sorry, I know we're in a hotel. I need to calm down. No! Oh my god. Oh my god! No way!
This is the happiest a video game announcement has ever made me feel. Kingdom Hearts is a series that's been extremely special to me since childhood. It's one of the most bizarre, unique, and fascinating game franchises to not only play, but discuss with others. I'll likely talk more about this series at some point in the future, but the bottom line is that I've wanted the main character Sora in Smash ever since the beginning. Just the thought of seeing him fight with some of my other favorite video game characters like Mario, Yoshi, Pikachu, and Kirby was so mesmerizing to me. And not only did my dream finally become a reality after so many years, but the timing couldn't have been any more perfect. I was hanging out with my older brother Ethan, who was actually the person that introduced me to Kingdom Hearts back then. He took me to San Diego for my 23rd birthday, and that was a blast in and of itself. October 5th was our last day before I flew back home, so we got to watch the announcement together in the hotel we were staying at. And getting to witness this once-in-a-lifetime reveal with him after an amazing week like that filled us with such an overwhelming amount of hype and joy that I don't think I'm ever going to feel again for the rest of my life. Unless they make a Kirby Air Ride 2, that'd be pretty cool. So yeah, it's safe to say that Sora getting into Smash Ultimate was a huge deal for me. It was one of the few pipe dreams I held on to since childhood, and the fact that it happened at the last possible chance made it so much sweeter for me. And quite frankly, with how impossible his odds seems to be with the whole Disney ownership, I never want to hear something like, "This character can't get in because of rule number 57 I made up," ever again. We've seen the impossible. We've found the Holy Grail. The possibilities are as endless as the ocean itself. Make the sandbag playable, you cowards! Hello, future Matthew here, and I found out while I was making this video that it wasn't Disney that was being stingy with Sora, but actually the director of Kingdom Hearts himself, Tetsuya Nomura, with his reasoning being that Sora's inclusion might clash with the established lore in Kingdom Hearts and the Disney worlds, you brain-dead, pencil-shoving, glue-eating developer! But now that the hype has long since died down, I want to take a look at how well I feel Sora was implemented into the game as a whole, from gameplay to fan service and everything in between. So with that long exposition dump out of the way, let's finally dive into things. Look, I'm sorry, but this is Kingdom Hearts we're talking about. Exposition is the name of the game. Let me go ahead and get my 3 gameplay-centric issues with Sora out of the way first. Number 1, the floatiness. Sora's always been a very airborne character ever since the first Kingdom Hearts game, and later installments would continue to improve upon his air mobility. So it makes perfect sense that he can easily zip around the battlefield, but they might have taken things a bit too far. He does the whole Mewtwo thing where his double jump starts out slow and gets faster as it progresses, which can be a little jarring. And he's also one of the lightest characters in the game and can be launched hard at extremely low percentages. Part of me gets why he's so light, but lighter than Duck Hunt? I'm not sure about that, man. I admit that part of this problem is likely on me since most of my time playing Ultimate was spent with penguin claws, serving Gordo Cola to every naughty boy on Christmas. I main King Dedede because 1, his hammer is immensely powerful when you manage to land a good hit with it. 2, his air game and movement speed are really solid for a heavyweight, so I can space out my opponents while landing heavy hits when I need to, and still recover from big attacks at nearly 200%. And 3, his level of sexiness is too powerful for even the straightest man like me to resist. So to go from an airborne god with 10 tons of girth under his robes, to an airborne god who's as light as a pebble, definitely took some time to get used to. And even when I did, I had to deal with issue number 2, the self-destruct blade. I love Sonic Blade, it's such a good move to just get some quick chip damage in, and that's the same case in Kingdom Hearts itself. It's also really good for recovery purposes. The fact that I could be stuck in a situation like this and still get back on the stage is a miracle. But it's also really good for the opposite, as after you finish using the move, you're rendered completely helpless until you land back on the ground. And since the move homes in on opponents, I find myself occasionally ending the move off stage and plummeting to my death. It's something that can be avoided with practice, but you can't really call yourself a Sora main until you've died this way at least 5 times. My last issue, number 3, is, well, the counter. Can you blame me? Yes, it references his dodge attack from the Source games, but there's over 20 characters that have counterattacks already, and they could have used another one of Sora's many unique abilities instead. Come to think of it actually, the counter is just more proof that Sora is the definition of everything a typical Smash player hates. Because if I know 4 things that Smash players hate the most, it's anime characters, sword fighters, counters, and respecting children's boundaries. All that being said though, I adore Sora. What can I say? He was my dream character and they brought him into the game beautifully. And I don't think that has to do with bias. I'm not one to main a character I love from their source game if their moveset doesn't click with my playstyle, but Sora just hits all the right notes for me regardless of my issues. Sakurai and his team have done a wonderful job making the DLC characters feel like they were ripped straight out of their original games. and Kingdom Hearts in particular has one of the most fun and fluid combat systems that I've experienced in any action game. I just get into a good flow state whenever I'm playing him. His Keyblade attacks come out fast and make for some great combo fodder with all the options you have, like his iconic 3-hit combo, his aforementioned Sonic Blade, and his up special Aerial Sweep. And all of that's on top of his main gimmick, that being his magic, which is thankfully pretty easy to wrap my head around. As much as I love the DLC fighters' different abilities that were pulled from their games, a lot of their uses are really situational and require a good amount of knowledge to use properly. And for a fast-paced game like Smash, it can be pretty overwhelming to stop and look through a menu for spells to cast, or put in a ridiculous button combination for one specific move. With Sora, your special just uses one of 3 spells, and every time you use one, it rotates to the next one. It's simple, it's clean, laugh! And the spells they chose are all useful in their own unique ways. Thyraga is good for racking up quick damage, Thundaga is great for launching airborne characters, and Blizzaga, while the most situational, can still be good for locking the opponent in your grasp for a brief moment. Oh, and that final smash where Sora seals the opponent in the keyhole is just mwah, chef's kiss. And don't even get me started on the costumes. Pretty much every essential outfit that Sora has worn over the years is here, from Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, 3, and Dream Drop Distance. I will say though that it is a little weird to see all these outfits on the younger KH1 version of Sora. Like, the KH2 look works fine enough, but when I'm playing with the KH3 look, I feel like I'm playing as a nerdy kid who walked into a party city. It just looks off. It's a really minor nitpick though. I still love the costumes that they picked out, and I stuck with KH2's Valor form as my go-to option. All in all, I really couldn't ask for much more from Sora. As a big Kingdom Hearts fan, they treated my boy with the respect he deserved. And my complaints are so minor and easily adjustable that they don't really matter much in the grand scheme of things. He's just pure fun. It's fun to move around the stage with his air mobility. It's fun to rack up combos with his Keyblade. It's fun to use his magic spells at the right time. It's just fun to play as your dream character, man. I'm always gonna be a King Dedede main at heart. I put way too much time into the funny penguin man to just abandon him like that. But I'm comfortable enough to break out Sora as a secondary from here on out.
But let's be real here. We all know the real reason why we bought this DLC. To stare at an image of Terra in a black void, of course. That's $5.99 I'll never get back.
So Hollow Bastion from Kingdom Hearts 1 was the stage choice for the DLC. And out of all the potential world choices from the franchise, this one was not on my radar at all. I would have expected something like Twilight Town from KH2 or Scala ad Kylum from KH3, but Hollow Bastion is still a really good choice. It's easily one of the coolest set pieces in the series, starting you off at these raging waterfalls as you ascend to this giant castle with tons of lifts and chambers to explore. It's really cool stuff and makes for a great foundation for a Smash stage. But the execution leaves a lot to be desired, unfortunately. One of my biggest problems with the DLC stages is that they tend to focus more on being visual spectacles rather than being creative from a gameplay standpoint, and that's the same case with Hollow Bastion. You do go around the castle, yes, but for the entire fight, you're stuck on this one giant platform and a tiny floating platform with no changes to the landscape at all. Look, I'm not saying you have to throw this crazy gimmick in my face. There are definitely some stages that take things way too far in that regard, but I at least want some level of uniqueness. I would have liked it if they did something similar to Delfino Plaza or Skyloft, where you get dropped off at different parts of the castle. That would give the stage much more of a purpose. It's still a perfectly playable stage, and it's wonderful aesthetically. I just wish the layout had more to it. However, there's still a neat touch of fan service here, because when the game's running low on time or stock, the stage will transform into the iconic Dive to the Heart segment that's representative of Kingdom Hearts as a whole, and features portraits of several characters from the series. It's a really cool touch that makes a relatively bland stage that much more interesting,
It's super charming to see Sora's character portrait alongside his friends Riku, Kairi, Starfruit, and Boat! Yeah, this would be a good time to mention where corners were cut. Normally, Sora's portrait would have Donald Duck and Goofy on it, but in the transition to Smash, everything from a core Disney property outside the Mickey Mouse symbol on the Keyblade were completely scrapped. It is purely Kingdom Hearts original characters here, which I 100% expected and am perfectly fine with. If they actually got Donald and Goofy to appear anywhere in the game, I imagine the floodgates of Smash speculation would cause a storm so heavy that I don't even think Moses could part it. I'm pretty sure he would just look at it and go, we can't really stop this one, Chief. It's a lost cause. Other than that, the Station of Awakening is a beautiful touch to this stage. That just so happens to have one of the most baffling restrictions in the entire game. If you're playing this stage with hazards turned off, the match will remain on Hollow Bastion the entire time. And this applies to the Omega and Battlefield forms as well. I have no idea why this is the case. The dive to the heart doesn't change anything from a gameplay perspective. It's literally just an acid flip. It's one of the stupidest decisions I've seen in this game, only behind not bringing back Rainbow Road from Smash on 3DS. And not making the sandbag playable. Cowards! I guess the last thing that's worth bringing up is the music, and this is definitely the most disappointing aspect of the DLC for me because of how unnecessarily restrictive it is. We got 9 songs here, which I think is fine. It's around the number I expected given the patterns of the DLC and Square Enix itself. Not every franchise is going to be as lenient with its soundtracks as Fatal Fury and Tekken, I get that. My problem is that they exclusively focused on Kingdom Hearts 1 music. And not that the soundtrack from that game is bad by any means, far from it. Kingdom Hearts 1 has some of the most memorable pieces in video game history, partly thanks to Yoko Shimomura and her incredible composing skills. And quite frankly, I can't imagine a timeline where Sora got in and not include Hand in Hand, as that's basically the Kingdom Hearts battle theme. And while we're talking about Shimomura, she also arranged King Dedede's theme in Brawl, so she's basically a goddess in my book. But Kingdom Hearts, at least to me, is a series where the music mostly keeps getting better with each installment. And with so many games to pull from with iconic pieces of their own, why would you restrict yourself to the game with arguably the weakest soundtrack the franchise has to offer? This makes the spirit battles against other characters feel mismatched too. The fact that I'm fighting Axel's spirit and not hearing the 13th struggle in the background feels like I'm eating pizza without the sauce. That should be illegal. And yeah, I know there's technically a Kingdom Hearts 2 song in there as well, Fragments of Sorrow, but I refuse to count it, as that was a song that was already in Kingdom Hearts 1, barely sounds any different from that game's version, and only played like one time in KH2 as is, so I'm just left even more baffled. And on top of that, Square Enix decided to pull a pro cash money move, because if you have save data for Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory on your Switch, you get the Swing version of Dearly Beloved added to your music list as a bonus. I mean, I'm not complaining, this is the version of Dearly Beloved I would have chosen too if they weren't going to remix it. And there's something kind of poetic about this being the song to close out Smash Ultimate, but man, what a weird way to unlock a song. And all of that's for a rhythm game. Unless we're talking Rhythm Heaven, I ain't having it. Let me reiterate, in a vacuum, the songs we got are still really solid, and I'm glad we got this many at all, especially given Square Enix's track record. But with the franchise's iconic legacy of music, I can't help but ask for a little more. If I was able to pick the songs to bring in with the 10-track limit, while still keeping the stage as Hollow Bastion, here are the songs I would have selected. If you've never heard the non-KH1 songs I've picked, go look them up. Your ears will be blessed forever. Well, that pretty much wrapped up everything I wanted to say. I know it came off as pretty negative towards the end there, but that's just because I love Kingdom Hearts so much and want to see it represented in the best light possible.
And while I love Sora as a character, and let's be real, that's the most important thing above all, the stage and the music, while still alright on their own, definitely leave a lot to be desired for me personally. But at the end of the day, I'm just super happy that he's even in the game at all. Like I said, it's been one of my childhood dreams to see Sora get into Smash Bros, and they delivered where it counted the most. And right now, with me being 23 years old, I'm in a very transitional part of my life with a lot to learn and a lot that's changing, so if anything, seeing this childhood dream come true at the last possible chance, on top of all the other amazing 2021 game announcements that I've been wanting for so long, kinda makes this point feel like the end of a chapter of my life and a sign to look forward to the next big thing. I mentioned at the beginning of the video that my gaming experiences have been relatively limited, but now that all these childhood dreams have come true for me, I feel like I have no excuse now but to break out my bubble and search for new experiences, new franchises, new ways to play, and more importantly, a new dream. And how fitting is it that the character that made me realize this was from a franchise about finding the light amongst the darkness. If you ask me, that's pretty poetic. I've been very critical of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate throughout its life, and I'm not gonna act like Sora getting in suddenly fixes all of my problems with the game. But now that I got that feeling of happiness and satisfaction that so many others got when they got their dream characters, it made me appreciate the game in a whole new light. It reminded me why Smash Bros. Is so special in the first place. The Smash team really did go out of their way to make as many people happy as possible, and for what it's worth, I think they did the best job they could. It's combined so many beloved gaming franchises and communities into one place, and while the fan base is far from perfect, the fact of the matter is, Smash brings people together in a way that no other franchise can. And that's a beautiful thing. So cheers to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and cheers to the future of this franchise. I really don't know where they're going to take the series next now that the whole everyone is here mantle set the bar so high. But regardless, I'm excited for that fresh start when the time comes. And now that my dream character made it into Ultimate, and my other dream character by technicality, I am more than willing to welcome all potential new fighters. Yo, so does this mean we get to be respected again? No! Worth a shot.